Vizio has started to release this year's lineup of their Quantum TVs, and our first one reviewed is the new P Series Quantum. Last year's P Series was a great TV, so we'll see what improvements, if any, this year's model brings. Hi, I'm Brandon, a test developer at Ratings.com, where we help people find the best products for their needs. The 2020 Vizio P Series Quantum is a good TV that's similar to last year's model, but with a few advantages. In this video, we'll look at the design of the TV and then move on to picture quality. Then we'll look at the motion handling, input lag, and sound, and finish by comparing to other models on the market. If you'd like to skip straight to our test results, then see the links in the description below. We bought the 65-inch model to test, but it's also available in 75 inches. We expect this larger size to have a very similar picture quality. If you own the 75-inch model, be sure to let us know if there's anything that doesn't correspond to our review. Let's start with the design. The TV looks great and almost identical to last year's model. It has a thin silver bezel that gives the TV a premium look from the front. Around the backside, it's all made of plastic, but the build quality is still quite good. We didn't notice any issues with our unit, and the stand supports it well. The TV is fairly thin, so it should work nicely if wall mounting it, but unfortunately, there's no cable management, so cables might get a bit messy. Moving on to the inputs, the Vizio has a good selection of inputs and supports most features people are looking for. It has 4 HDMI ports, and 2 of them support HDMI 2.1. which is great if you plan on using this TV with the upcoming consoles that can take advantage of HDMI 2.1 features. But as I'll mention further in the review, we had trouble with the TV's VRR and high refresh rate, so hopefully a future patch fixes these issues. Moving on, it also has 1 USB, a digital out, an analog RCA out, a TV tuner, an Ethernet port, and a composite in. For HDR, the TV supports HDR10, HDR10+, and Dolby Vision. You can learn more about the HDR formats in the card above. For audio, it supports ARC and eARC, so it can send a DTS or Dolby Atmos signal via HDMI. So overall, this TV will support most setups imaginable. Now we'll move on to picture quality. We'll be comparing to currently available TVs, but competing models may change as new TVs are released throughout the year. For an updated comparison with new models as we buy and test them, see our review pages, which is linked below. Let's begin with the contrast ratio, which is the relative luminance between the darkest black and the brightest white that a TV can display. A high contrast ratio will give deep inky blacks that'll make the image appear deep and full of detail, especially in darker scenes. The Vizio has an amazing contrast ratio that improves slightly with local dimming, at least with our test pattern. So it'll be great for darkroom viewing and will give lots of detail in the shadows. A great way to improve contrast even further is through local dimming, which works by turning on and off individual backlights throughout the display. The Vizio has a decent local dimming implementation with some issues. It performs zone transitions well with slow movement, but it struggles when things speed up. However, this shouldn't be too noticeable with real content. There's a fair amount of blooming and it tends to overbrighten a fair bit, so a star field may look somewhat grayish or blotchy. And unfortunately, subtitles aren't handled well, as there's a lot of blooming around them. So it's not the best, but it's usable, and it really depends on the content you're watching. Now let's check out the viewing angles, which is how well the image remains when viewed off-center. A TV with good viewing angles is great for places with wide seating, so everyone watching can see the image properly. Just like with most other VA TVs, the Vizio has poor viewing angles, so it won't be a great choice for large rooms. We noticed in the menus there's an enhanced viewing angle option, but it doesn't seem to have any effect from our testing. Alright, onto gray uniformity, which is how even and uniform colors appear throughout the display. Issues with gray uniformity cause areas of the display to appear brighter or darker than their surroundings, and is most noticeable when watching content with uniform colors, like sports. This is commonly referred to as the dirty screen effect, and our Vizio definitely has some in the center, as you can see in our photo. The gray uniformity is okay, and it's slightly better with a darker scene, but it's still not great, so you might notice it if you're a fan of sports or retro video games. Our black uniformity test looks at the evenness of an all-black image and checks for issues like backlight bleed or clouding. Just like with gray uniformity, we measured an all-right black uniformity on our unit. There's visible clouding throughout the screen, but at least the local dimming can help counteract this. But again, the local dimming itself still causes some blooming. It's important to note that black and gray uniformity can vary unit to unit because of manufacturing tolerances, so our model may not be representative of the one you buy. If you own this model, let us know how yours compares in the comments below. Now onto the reflection handling, which is important if you plan on using this TV in a bright room with lots of light. Overall, the Vizio has good reflection handling that should be fine for most people. It has a semi-gloss coating, so it handles ambient light well, but it struggles a bit more with direct reflections, so try not to place it directly across a window. Another great way to counteract distracting glare is by getting a TV that can get plenty bright. And fortunately, this TV does a great job with peak brightness. With SDR content, we measured a real scene peak brightness of 600 nits and got upwards of 1,000 nits in a few cases. The brightness will vary a lot depending on the image and scene duration, but even our lowest measurement was around 500 nits, which is still quite solid. Having a high peak brightness is also important for HDR content, as it will help bring out the bright specular highlights. And just like with SDR, the HDR peak brightness is excellent. We measured a real scene peak brightness of nearly 800 nits, and again, got upwards of 1,000 nits with certain window sizes. So whether you're watching SDR or HDR content, you should be satisfied with the brightness. Also important for HDR is the color gamut and volume. The gamut is a range of colors a TV is capable of showing, and having a wide gamut means you can see all of the hues and colors that HDR content was mastered for. Like all other Quantum series Vizio TVs we reviewed, this TV has an outstandingly wide color gamut. Ours covers 98% of the DCI-P3 color space, so you'll be able to experience all the rich and vibrant colors HDR content is mastered with. The color volume is the range of colors a TV can display at different luminance levels, and is most important for bright highlights in HDR. We measured a great color volume as well, so combined with its high peak brightness, this TV should make for a great HDR viewing experience. Now let's move on to the motion handling, starting with the response time. The response time is the time it takes for a display to change from one color to the next. A slow response time will result in a blurry trail behind fast-moving objects, which is commonly known as ghosting. So you want to have a fast response time if you plan on watching sports or playing video games. We measured a pretty good response time with no overshoot, and surprisingly, the dark transitions were still fast, which is uncommon of VA panels. So this won't have any severe ghosting and would be a good choice for gamers. You may notice in our Pursuit motion photo that there's a faint after image of our ratings logo. This is unfortunately caused by the flicker of the backlight, which flickers at 120 Hz. This won't be noticeable to most people, but those sensitive to flicker may find this too distracting. You can prevent this by using the TV at its maximum brightness, but anything below that will activate the flicker. Flickering the display can actually have a positive side effect of reducing persistence blur and is commonly known as black frame insertion. You can learn more about how BFI works here. The Vizio has a BFI feature that can flicker at 60 or 120 Hz, and you can see how it affects motion blur in our Pursuit motion photos. From our testing, it produces a lot of crosstalk, which is that faint after image that I mentioned earlier. If you want to use this TV to play games, then having a low input lag is quite important. Input lag is the time it takes for a TV to display an image coming from a source, and a low input lag will give a more responsive and fluid experience. We measured a very impressive input lag of around 13 milliseconds in game mode, so most people won't even notice it. The TV supports 120 Hz for 1080p and 1440p, but it wasn't working properly with game low latency enabled. It would skip frames, and our input lag was very inconsistent, even across 3 separate test PCs. 120 Hz works fine outside of game mode, so we suspect this to be a bug that hopefully gets patched in the future. We'll make sure to retest these results once an update is available. You may also notice that the TV is advertised as supporting variable refresh rate through HDMI 4 and VRR. However, in our testing, we found it wasn't working properly. Even when connected to our Xbox One, we still had lots of tearing and flashing and an occasional crash. Again, we suspect this to be a bug with the firmware, and we'll make sure to retest this once a patch is available. Okay, onto the smart features and app support. Overall, Vizio's SmartCast platform is decent, but may not be as good as its competitors. It's easy to use, but it's a little buggy, and we actually had the interface crash from time to time. As far as app selection goes, it has all the necessities and some extras, but there's no way to add more since Vizio doesn't have an app store. Most of the focus of the SmartCast platform is to cast content from your phone or mobile device. The remote is mostly the same to last year's model, so it has some streaming platform shortcuts, but unfortunately no voice control, although you can use your phone or other smart device for voice control. Lastly, let's check out the sound quality. The Vizio has decent sound. The frequency response is reasonably well balanced, so dialogue comes across clearly, but it's not as good as other TVs in its price class. On the bright side, it gets pretty loud at max volume without adding too much compression. And like with all TVs, its low and sub-bass is lacking, so audio enthusiasts are going to want to invest in a better solution. So overall, the 2020 Vizio P Series Quantum is a great TV. that offers a great HDR experience thanks to its high peak brightness and wide color gamut. It also has a good contrast and fast response time, which is nice for gaming. But it does have a couple drawbacks, including its OK uniformity and its weird anomalies with VRR and high refresh rate. Compared to its predecessor, it's a small step up in picture quality and has some additional features like HDMI 2.1 and eARC. So if you own last year's model, it's probably not worth upgrading unless those features are important to you. There's also other options to consider, like the Hisense H9G, which has a higher contrast ratio, better local dimming, and gets brighter. It also has a faster response time and is cheaper, which makes it a more compelling option over the Vizio. However, the Vizio does have a wider color gamut and lower input lag. So that's it. What do you think of the new P Series Quantum? Will you be getting it? Let us know what you think below. As always, you can check out all of the measurements on our website. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel or become an insider on the website for access to our latest results first. Also, we're currently hiring in our offices in Montreal for various positions. So if you want to help people find the best products for their needs, have a look at our careers page. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.